Will be on the street too, on the protest?
It depends. It really depends. It depends. It depends. My mood, how I see the plans going, the language, the potential, Let me put it this way to you.
So really the opposition, your party is not behind the planning?
Sheung, it is irresponsible for anybody to take what he has not invested in. And it is criminally painful to have government people and supporters of the ruling party look for who to blame but themselves for this. It's even worse to imagine that a nation of 200 million people, Nigerians, young people, don't have a mind of their own. Yes, I understand the business of people who cry wolf. But the truth of the matter is that the People's Democratic Party of Nigeria, the party that I proudly represent, is too responsible to join in this cacophony that creates the impression that, young people don't have the constitutional right to protest.
Has anyone said that?
When we were, just 1 second, when we were in government, it was our rivals, then in opposition, who championed protests and led the street protest. But because we are far more responsible and we understand the delicate nation of nation managing the country, we haven't done that. But let no one in their imagination now begin to blame us or blame anybody at that for activities that all of us are wondering, how do we manage it going forward? So putting it straight on the table. Yes, we recognize the right of people to protest. We respect the language and whatever it is that they're bringing to the table. We caution the federal government to be responsible, reasonable, and understand that one of the critical, legs of democracy is freedom of association, freedom of protest. And that, in fact, a test of their capacity to manage things will be how they handle this very serious situation that the country has found itself. I quarrel with the choice of the language of most of their supporters. They seem to want to say, give us time. We made the country somehow. And then you ask yourself, are these people joking? You got this nation. This nation was passed to you in 2015. To date, that's 9 years.
Not to Bola Tinubu.
That is irrelevant. It's one government, it's one party. I'm not speaking to you as an individual. I'm speaking to you on behalf of the only democratic institution in this country called PDP. We are not blaming them for their misstep for 8 years. Who's going to hold himself responsible for the activities that they themselves took in the last 1 year to make it worse? And I can list some for you. When you take over a nation that all the indicators tells you we have a problem of unemployment, we have a problem of poverty and all that, and the first thing you can see to do before you even get onto the chair is to remove subsidy, whatever that meant, who's responsible but you? When you choose to remove subsidy before you even breathe on that and see the impact of that, you go and float the currency and make your currency lose value overnight. Who's going to blame anybody but you?
Are those decisions wrong?
They are so wrong because they
remove subsidy. But I imagine your principal.
Listen. I'm not in the business of this. We're not in campaign period. Now, let me tell you the fundamental difference between our position on subsidy and theirs. We come with experience because in the Obasanjo Atiku regime, we embarked on phased removal of subsidy. First point. Second point, we engaged the civil society, the organized labor, the private sector, the manufacturer for a roadmap on how to do it. When they say this must happen first, we make that happen, then we move to the next step. Then we make that happen, then we move to the next step. Nobody takes government and in a lackadaisical attitude, in an unfeeling and unempathetic manner, pretend as if he's talking only to his overfed friends. Nigeria is made up of maybe 220 or more, and the vast majority of us are poor. And do not be deceived that because you can afford 3 square meals, that means that everybody in the whole of this country can afford it. And if they cannot afford it, the question then gets to be asked, what then is the responsibility of government other than to make sure that the people in the country can survive?
What should the president? You are condemning a decision of the president to remove subsidy on the first day. There are those who will argue that naturally, by execution of time, that the issue of subsidy came dead as soon as the president came on board, because in the budget, in the first place, it wasn't even being catered for.
Let me make it easy for you, my dear friend. The language was even wrong. You can't say you are removing subsidy when you're floating the currency, because at the end of the day, you're going to run yourself into a crisis. Or how do you even keep the price the way you intended? Why didn't you just say, I'm going to increase the price, so that the room for negotiation can be there? Right now, people suspect that some kind of subsidy is being paid, because when you check the landing cost of PMS and how much the people are paying, you know that there's a bit of a gap. So what have you really done? Listen, my friend, and nobody should try to pussyfoot our face or give us the impression that everybody in this country is mainly stupid. You cannot run a big nation like ours in a manner that suggests that you have not really thought through your policies, you have not impacted it on how it's going to impact the people, and you have not come up with creative ways to solve the problem. I'll give you another one. If you remove subsidy on the first day, why must it take you 1 year and 2 months before you can increase the salary of civil servant? Did the price not start impacting from the next day? When you were throwing money all over the place, saying you are doing palliative, giving money to your friends who are governors misbehaving all over the country, what did you think was going to happen? Okay, now we're here. And I want to say to Nigerians, with every sense of responsibility, because we have ruled this country, we've led this country before, and we plan to lead it in the future.
The APC will say that
therefore, we will not.
You run this country aground.
Are you for real? Do you not have statistics?
APC will. That's what the APC will say.
Forget what the APC is saying. They can tell themselves all sort of lies.
Would you say that the PDP gave Nigeria a good country?
At the worst of our performance, Jonathan years, we were still doing 5 point something growth percent. Do you know what the size of the Nigerian economy was in 2015? Was the largest growing economy in Africa. Where are we today? I'm not here for that. Sheung, we have found ourselves in a situation. They don't even know how to get themselves out of it, and so we have to help them now. And I'll say to the Nigerian people, once we choose democracy, the demagogy of language of dictatorship has to change. When we were running military dictatorship and all of that, the demagogy of strike, put people on the street, we're not going to agree, that was the language of then. In a civilian democracy, the demagogy must be consultation, conversation, and short intervention. You can't have a 10-day protest. If you say you want to have a 10-day protest, do you know what 10 days does to the country? Why don't you do it 3 days so they get the message? Even as it is now, are they not already pissing in their pants with all of their aides running up and down the place and ventilating in manners that suggest that they are just running like a rat on the hot plate? And now we are the ones who have to now say to people, Nigerians, this country is ours. There will be a day for that day of rage, and it is on the next day of the next election. Because I tell you what, democracy is, as it were, civilian monarchy. But the beauty of that civilian monarchy is that it is termed. And therefore, we know that after every 4 years, we can have a referendum on their performance. And if they have not done well, we can vote them out. But if we insist that we're going to do some copycat syndrome that's going to make our country become ugly because of their inability to manage things, the fact that people say they are coming for protest, have they told you they're going to go and start burning things? Have they told you they're going to go and start destroying the country? Why are you making those assumptions on their behalf? The responsibility of security agencies is to provide a conduct for them and make sure that they can operate within. Look, there was a protest in Leeds a few days ago. Young people were getting angry. For some reason, young people are getting angry all over the world. Did you see the people of that country start shooting at or trying to say that young people can't do that?
I imagine that. I mean, for those who experienced the fallout of the NSAS of 2020 October, those who think that if you go to Lagos, the Lagos government, I mean, interestingly, still the person who is in office today, will tell you that it was a very, very sad day for the people of Lagos, considering the wanton destruction of property. Interestingly, my house where I live, it was around that corridor, around the Julius Berger area in Lagos, where you find the BRT buses, loads and loads of them that were destroyed. A court was razed down. The only forensic laboratory in the whole of the region was also burned down. The question is that wouldn't you be one of those who will blame this country that they don't have foresight for being proactive?
The benefits of all of us who are members of this country are not only members and league people of the APC. Let me educate you. There was a protest when Jonathan was in charge. Did it lead to that? Why didn't it lead to that? Why was it the protest that the APC managed that took place underneath the APC same regime?
So there's nothing to fear.
The point I'm making is that even that NSAS process was a mismanagement of their capability. How were we able to manage all of them, including all of their leaders, the Tunde Bakaris of this world, the Buharis of this world, the Bola Tinubu, when they were ventilating protest? Why were we able to manage them? Because we understood that it is the inalienable right of the citizens to protest, and it is the responsibility of the government to manage the protest until they can bring it to a de-escalation.
So you imagine that if an Atiku is in office, he would have done better. Is that what you are trying to say?
You know, when you put it this way, you really put a dagger in my heart, because he would not only have done better. Ashadu Bola Ahmed Tinubu came to that office with limited experience on managing the infrastructure called the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The best of his experience was just sitting down in Lagos and running Lagos. Lagos is not Nigeria. You can't compare that to somebody who has been vice president of the country, sitting with Obasanjo, running the country together with him, learning the ropes there, and understanding that even from the forming of government, you balance things. Sheung, I will not have anybody suggest that the PDP is responsible for it. We are not. We're not the ones calling people to protest. We're not the ones instigating anybody. We're not the ones fingering anybody. All we are saying to them is that, gentlemen in charge of the country today, the language to speak to young people when they are angry is a lot of begging, a lot of empathy, a lot of conciliatory conversation. You don't bully them.
All right, Mr. Shegun, some more people are talking about the tone of Mr. Akpata's voice, being a former president of the NBA.
Every decent person understands that if not for the right of people to protest, under the guise of democracy, rogues who seize power and do whatever they like and expect everybody to just go home and just laugh. These protests have been there, they remain there, they are the rights of people. What serious nations do is manage these conversations. You manage the conversations by listening to what they're saying, coming up transparently to answer some of these queries. If they want a reduction in the price, do they not have a right to demand that? If they want, you meet them halfway. And if they say, no, they are faceless people that are engaging them, then exactly what are you planning for? So I think that, yes, the nation must be careful of fifth columnists. I hold that very sacrosanct, and also international conspirators who may want to destabilize our country. But then again, if they knew what they were doing in that villa, you would have to ask them, what do they think is the responsibility of the Nigerian intelligence agency? Is it not to comb the country for the countries of the world for us?
You heard the warning that was raised by Governor Fauci about what these tendencies are.
When I was listening,
saying that they should be, people should be careful so that they don't play into the hands of coolmongers.
No, that's rubbish. That's rubbish. When I listened to Fauci, I kept telling myself, oh, how are the mighty falling? Do people leave governments and lose everything that people respect them for? If you want to ask Nigerians to have empathy for the government, you cannot start talking as though that empathy should start because of General President Bola Tinubu. No. You can't say, oh, the country was bad before and it was not so. There is nothing to reflect that. The Obasanjo regime, we got to double digits. Jonathan with double digits, then we became at least always afloat. We survived. The PDP made Nigeria survive a global meltdown in the financial sector. Even what happened, and America and others could not even survive. Who carried us over it and we escaped?
In a mostly rent economy.
It doesn't matter. You are not going to
less of production.
Listen, man.
Too much of
how much production? Listen, how much production can they do when the price of oil is very high? The price of power is very high. The cost of borrowing money is very high. They are even so annoyed.
So there is nothing that to credit this government for that they have done in the last 1 year. Is it that bad?
I have tried to understand their policy direction, but I am lost because of the characters that typifies who this government is. Imagine in Nigeria, where the children, the biological children of the president are issuing orders to Nigerians because of a protest. When did we get to that level? Even in the worst days of General Sani Abacha, that people like to say, never was a time where students saying, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. As how, in what capacity, under what guise? We're not going to surrender Nigeria to one party that is not doing well. They can stay there.
So you're saying that this government is not doing well?
If they were doing well, why are the people upset? Do you know what's going on in the country?
But the government has said, look, give us some time. 1 year is not enough.
That's where my problem with them is. When they came in 2015, they didn't say, oh, Jonathan government. They said 16 years.
Can you excuse Bola Tinubu and his administration from whatever activity or performance of the Buhari government? Let's look at what has happened in the last over 1 year since Bola Tinubu got into office. Would you say that the Bola Tinubu-led government is doing the wrong thing in the last 1 year?
The thing about governments is that they have a 4-year tenure, and it's 1 year and 2 months gone. So that's more than a quarter of the tenure gone. The things that they have even caused by themselves, the crisis they've caused by themselves, the firmness that they could have put on the table that they have excused, I'll give you one, Rivers. What kind of national leader would tolerate the kind of nonsense that Nyesom Wike, as the FCT minister, is doing in Rivers? Who will tolerate that? I can tell you why Atiku will not tolerate it. In 2002 or thereabout, he went to Anambra. Mbadinuju was governor under PDP, and the schools were closed. He came back livid, and they ensured that Mbadinuju never came anything close to government again. Why? Because a leader has to carry a certain level of patriotism, and that patriotism is the scale that tells him this type of behavior will not go here, this will not go here, this will not be accepted here. I was on your program, Sheung, when I was screaming, Mr. President, you are making more money and giving more money to the states. You have not told them what to do with it. And you are watching these guys do that. And what has happened? It has impacted the dollar.
Is this his fault to have made more money available
through the states? It is his fault to the extent that he pretends as if he does not know the country he's leading. This is an environment where officers are generally very corrupt. He shouldn't have taken one whole year.
We need to get our country working. If the Tinubu government, according to you, in your own assessment, is not doing the right thing, how do we, on the final note, how do we get on the right track?
I think the president, first of all, if I were him, I first of all constitute the Council of States, where all former leaders come, and they come and solve the problem that all of them caused. Thereafter, I'll then say, okay, this is where we are. Rejig that cabinet. When you wanted to put a minister for youth affairs, did you not understand the country you are coming to lead? Do you not know what it will be required for the person to have boots on ground? If you had made Dayo Israel the minister of youth affairs, perhaps they would have had more boots on ground with young people. You can't just be running anyhow and expecting us to be clapping for you. You are a mess.
We are totally out.
You listen to this man. Good one. I know some people will still have issue with this video because he's from opposition party. It does not belong to APC. So people will still have issue with this. Say, why are you talking like this? Because you are not. That's why. No, that is the reality. That's the reality. And the truth must be told. Anyways, the country is just, everything is just looking upside down. How can we still be talking about policy failure at this time of the day when everything's are gone on already and nothing? In fact, these people, as you know, I said it before, they are stuck, they are confused, they are looking for, they don't even know how to get out of this mess. They are into deep mess, and they are ashamed to call experts to help them. They are ashamed, and they need help. Seriously, they need help. They don't even know how to get out of it. Forget all this one they are talking here and there, just talking back and forth. See, this government needs help. Tinubu government needs help. He needs to call. He needs to come out openly and seek for that help. They don't tell him before. What's his name? This man from the north. He told Tinubu before. He said Tinubu needs help. Put that pride, put it aside. Call out for help. It might not be even Peter Obi. It might not even be Atiku, if at all they have at least what they would, quite a lot of things they would have done better, differently. If those people cannot come, you need to just cover the shame, overlook all those things. There are some ministers, you need to sack them and bring in some people to help you. Some of those ministers, people have been saying it, you bring those ministers to come and steal money, teach others how to steal, not how to repair. Remember how many ministers allegedly that they have been accused of money laundering before. Some of them, their case is with EFCC because Oga, that chapter closed. Somebody who has been alleged of money laundering, allegedly, you overlook her, you bring her into your government. So that person cannot see anything good in government. If he sees anything good or in the interest of this country, he would have done it during his time, rather than to stealing the money. Right? Rather. But now you bring him again because he's your friend. You need to work with your friends. Because of your friend, paddy, you bring them in. He's not doing anything different from what he has done before. He can only replicate what he or she has done during Buhari, of which we do not have any. They did nothing. So people who did nothing will complain under Tinubu leadership, under Buhari's leadership. You bring them again to come and run your administration. You only bring them to run it down. If they have the solutions, they wouldn't have run it the way they run Buhari's administration. Now you bring them in to run your administration down and teach others how to steal money and how to bribe EFCC. That's what they are doing, busy doing. Anyways, please share this video, like, share, comment, and please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Very important. Please subscribe.